Well, hello guys, Player, and today I'm back for another video, and today's video is going to be another NUCL video, and we are at the playoffs. Yes, we made it. I think I was first or second in the playoffs, and I am going to first Marcus on this playoffs battle. I've battled him before and I lost that battle. That was the only loss in my league so far, at least for now. I'm not going to spoil you anything in the future, but that was the only loss I had. It was an amazing battle, and the last time Mesprit or Mesprit was such a pain to deal with, and Marcus brought it again in this battle, and I brought a pretty darn good month, but there are some problems with this team. Or at least I forgot to put an item on my Fenlux, which was really annoying because I didn't even realize that. And if I would have realized that, the battle would have been a bit well, less hard in the end. But you'll find that out. But let's just start the battle. It was a really intense battle, and let's see if I can manage to win this time against Marcus. So right off the bat, I have a really bad matchup, and I didn't realize that I didn't put on my choice specs on my Fenlux. This was going to be my wall breaker on the team, but because I forgot to put on the specs, I could not manage to make this a wall breaker. And I know that this Hariyama is going to have thick fat because I don't run a lot of status moves on my mons on this team. It is not really based on status moves, which is pretty darn annoying in this case. But I go for the Scald, and I'm not really lucky with the burns this battle. I do score a crit, which is kind of okay. It's not really necessary, to be honest. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. And I am pretty lucky in this battle, I have to say that, but oh well. So now my opponent goes for the Calm Light, and I knew that he did not have a spinner on his team, so I knew that these rocks are very important, and I know that I can take at least a +1 Shadow Ball if he decides to carry that on his Mesprit or his Mesprit. And that's what I decided to do. He goes for the Shadow Ball. It does a lot of damage because I am defensive and not specially defensive. So I go for the Stealth Rocks, and I decided to preserve my Metang a bit. And I kind of know which coverage moves he will run. He will run the Psy Shock, Energy Ball, and Shadow Ball because the Energy Ball for my Noctowl and the Psy Shock for my the Energy Ball for my Quagsire and the Psy Shock for my Noctowl. It is really darn good, and I knew he would go for another Shadow Ball. So now I go for the Fake Out, get some damage off, and I know that because this Mesprit is probably defensive, as I can see from the damage, this Psyshock is going to do good damage, but not a lot. I was running the Saltfish, but decided to Circle Throw him out of there because I want some damage on my opponent's side of the field. So now my opponent goes into the Annabelle, and I just decided to go for another Circle Throw. That was kind of the tactic of this battle, of this match. I decided to run Circle Throw on the Kangaskhan, trying to get some damage onto his team. But he did have the Wish Adina, so it didn't really work out like I wanted it to do. And my Kangaskhan had to take a lot of damage, which is really unfortunate. And now my opponent, or I switch him out into the Big Mama, which was such a problem to my team today, or this battle, because I didn't have any kind of checks for it. I had my my Metang, but it can't really take the knockoff from this range. It was just a sag because I didn't have any kind of switches into this Hariyama, which was kind of unfortunate. So now I go into my Hitmonchan, make the double switch, predicting him to go into the I'm not sure what I predicted him to go into, but I just knew that he wouldn't go for the knockoff, so I just played it safe and I predicted him to go into something, but I'm not totally sure what. I think the Mesprit, that's why I switched that in, but he decided to just go for the knockoff or for the close combat, luckily enough, and now he goes for the knockoff on my Quagsire, which is great because that means that I can at least live a little longer with Quagsire. So I go for another Scald, looking and hoping for the burn. And looking at this, I do not score the burn again, which is unfortunate. It really is. But right here, I knew that he can't really knock me out, so I decided to go for the recover. But I found out later in the battle that he actually wants the Grass Knot on this Audino, which is really good. That I was really risky that I stayed in on that point. But now he reveals that he actually has the Grass Knot on the Audino. I definitely did not expect that. I kind of expected him to go with Psy Shock and maybe Dazzling Gleam, but he didn't run that, so he goes for the Psychic Circle right here. And because I'm quite bulky, I do manage to live it, go for another Circle Throw to get some extra damage off to the Annabelle and get a force him out, but he forced him out into the Hariyama, and I do not have a switch in again, so he goes for the fake out, plays it safe, which is fine. To be honest, I was going for the return, trying to get some damage off, but he runs through fake out, which is alright. So now I go to my MVP, because I know that I can take at least one close combat, I believe, and go for 2 drain punches, which should be able to take out the Hariyama, but he decided to switch into the Mega Audino, and I just went for the fake out just to get some extra damage off, which means that it will be a 2-hit KO. But I go for the drain punch because I am kind of forced to do it. I don't have anything to kill this Annabelle with, which is unfortunate, and he goes for the Witch, but because he does not run the Protect on his Audino, that means that I can, in the long run, can take this Audino out. It will take quite a few turns, but I do manage to take the Audino out after a bit, which is great because Audino is such a threat, and after Audino is gone I can finally do some damage with physical attacking mons. So he gets the wish back again and does a buttload of damage with Psy Shock because it hits on the physical side. If it would have hit on the special side, it would have done quite something less, I guess 50% less damage or something like that. But he goes for another Psy Shock, and I do manage to lift this really nicely. Go for the drain punch. Luckily enough, the health regaining is before the life orb recoil, because that means that I can at least get off another fake out at one point or a mark punch. It just depends. So now my opponent switches to the Big Mama, going for the fake out, but I did want to preserve my Hitmonchan for the Swallow because it managed to kill or do a lot of damage with a life or mark punch to that thing, which is great. So now I go to my Quagsire at full health. Luckily enough, I did manage to get off that recover. He goes for the fake out, doesn't do quite a lot of damage, which is fine, and now he decides to switch it out because he doesn't want his Hariyama to get burned. And he goes into the Mii Spirit. I just go for another Scald, trying to fish for this burn. This is the 3rd Scald, but I do not get it again, which is unfortunate. It is alright, but it's quite unfortunate. So now I go and switch out because I kind of feel like his Mad Spirit should be running the energy ball, because most Mii Spirits do, and there it is, there's the energy ball. And luckily enough, because I am a Scarf Mist Magus, I can live quite some hits, because I run a lot of HP investments, because I just have to run a bit of speed investments, and with the Scarf I managed to outspeed this whole team. So with that extra health investments I can take hits pretty nicely. So now I go for the Shadow Ball, and because I'm Scarfed I don't do quite a lot of damage. I am modest max special attack, but still it's not enough, and Pancake is really bulky and really annoying to deal with. Just Stunfisk is such an annoying but good Pokemon. So right here he goes to the Stealth Rocks, which are kind of important. I don't have anything to get rid of it, which is annoying, but it is quite late game, so it didn't damage my team that much. And right here I predicted his switch, possibly, I'm not sure. No, I think I just went for the Ice Beam because I didn't really have a switch in to this Hariyama, and because I'm not Specs and I'm just not an item, this doesn't do any kind of damage. Because he's Thick, Fat and Assault Vest, it just doesn't do anything. So now I go into my Hariyama, he goes for the close combat, and luckily enough I can take, no, he just goes for the fake out. If he went for the close combat at that point, I think I would have maybe even lost the game. He goes for the close combat, and because it does so much damage, I can, luckily enough, lift 2 of them and go for the Scalp right here. And this is really important. At this point I needed the burn, otherwise I would have probably lost the game. I do score a crit as a bonus and the burn, which is really important. If that didn't happen, I might have lost this game. There was quite a high possibility of me losing it. I just go for the Protect to get a little bit more damage off, to be in range of a Mark Punch to kill or something like that. Just so that I get a little bit more damage off. I don't have a switch into this, so I will... Oh well, I do have a switch in because he's burned, and I can just go for the recover right here to outstall the Hariyama, which is great. And at the next turn he knows that it's not really important to keep this guy around, so I can just go for another recover and regain most of my health back, which is awesome, because that means that my Quagsire is at quite a good amount of HP, and his biggest threat, the Hariyama, is gone, which is amazing. So now my opponent switches into the Talonflame, which is the Swallow. And I kind of made a stupid play right here. He actually told me that he was planning on running this Swallow set on the first battle, but he didn't run that. And he goes for the substitute right here. Because my Quagsire is at a good amount of HPs, I can live the Facade. Luckily enough, if that wouldn't be the case, I would have probably get swept by the Swallow. Because Swallow is that kind of Pokemon. I go for the Go for the skull. Do manage to kill the sub, which is really good. If that didn't happen, I would have probably lost the game either way. So now he goes for the ruse, predicting me to protect, but I didn't want to do that because I knew that there was quite a high chance that he would carry ruse on this Swallow. So I go for the skull, do good amount of damage, and he is forced to go for the facade right here. I can't keep roosting off because my skulls will eventually crit him or something like that. So now I go into my MVP, which has its second kill in this battle, I believe. And I can just go for the Mach Punch or the Fake Out right here. I went for the Fake Out because I knew that it would take him out. And he couldn't switch out. And there was a possibility of him running Quick Attack because I haven't seen the Brave Bird quite yet. So now my opponent goes into the Virgie, his camera up, which is a really good one. And I go into my Death Cream. And if I would have had the specs, there would be quite a difference, and if I would have realized that I didn't carry an item, there would be quite a difference as well. So I still thought that I was specs at this point, but it didn't do a lot of damage to water pulse. It would not have killed, that's what Marcus told me at least after the battle, but still it would have put me at a better range after this next turn, because now the water pulse is able to at least two-shot him, which is great, and he goes into the pancake. But if I would have realized that I didn't carry an item, I would have just gone for the ice beam right here, and the battle would have been a lot less close than it was in the end. So I go for the water pulse, do an okay amount of damage, not getting the confusion, which is good because I don't want to win at a cheeky kind of way like that. So I do die to the discharge. He has the leftovers back again, and I am into my last mon, which is the Merciless, and it all depends on a bit of hex right here. If I get the higher rolls, and if I don't score the paralyzation. So I go for the Shadow Ball, do okay amount of damage, quite a low roll. That told me that I was really curious if I would be able to kill him with the next Shadow Ball, and here it is, the last Shadow Ball, the deciding Shadow Ball. Will it able to kill the Stunfisk? Looking at it, and it is able to kill the Stunfisk, which is really important because his last mon that he has left is the Meesprit, and Meesprit is not able to take a modest Shadow Ball from a Miss Mages, which is amazing, and that was a really good game. If I didn't get the burn on the Hariyama, the game would have probably been Marcus at Marcus' point. I'm not totally sure. So this was an amazing battle against Marcus. Definitely check out his Twitter. I will leave his Twitter link in the description below. It is a really good battle, and if I didn't get the burn, as I said before, if I didn't get the burn on the Hariyama, the battle would have definitely been, at least went the other way and probably into Marcus' favor. But it's still amazing that I managed to get that, and I played well, and Marcus played well as well. We both played a really good game, and that, as you saw in the results, manages to be a win into my favor, which is great. So I am going into the finale of the NUCL League, and that will be uploaded tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And then I'll see you guys in my next video. Later!